Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of VICast. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Hongsen. And in today's episode, we are going to do something a little bit different. We'll be talking about our personal experiences with technology and how assistive technology and accessibility can actually help with providing our clients, or rather just persons with vision impairments, and improve quality of life.
So I believe some of you who are tuning into this podcast have actually been trained by, either me or Hongsen or some of our other trainers at GTS. So I think this will be a very interesting topic to talk about or to discuss, in terms of the perspective of us as trainers and how we have helped to improve your lives as well. And how we get to where are we today, right?
Yeah, who is Dylan? This trainer that trains you. What made him what he is today? We do get asked this question from time to time, and I think it's also interesting for us to share some of our experiences that we have gained or that we have seen through our training journeys.
Right. So I guess for me, I was introduced the use of a computer at quite a young age, I guess. I think a Windows computer when I was in primary 5. I don't know, around there lah. Okay, and a MacBook about primary 4 also.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think I did learn a little bit of keyboard, touch typing. Of course, back then I didn't know it's called touch typing lah. Right. I never understood why we had to position our fingers, at a specific point, and I was always the rebellious type of person. Never go home and practice that kind. What about you? When do you start?
So I think my journey was pretty similar to yours as well. In primary school, I got introduced to Windows, on Windows computers. And it's basically like how you use the Windows screen reader to operate the computer itself with your different keyboard commands. And of course, touch typing is super important. And that was something that I got forced into doing. So of course, right now, I think we are quite thankful that we have these skills. And now it's our turn to force others to do it.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah,
fair point.
I mean, it's really quite crucial. It's a foundation to using the computer properly.
And I always, when I meet clients who are low vision, who maybe have just lost their eyesight or are losing their eyesight, many a times, I have to explain to them the concept of a screen reader, explain to them why touch typing is important. I think as somebody who didn't take touch typing seriously when I was a kid, later in my life I tend to struggle. I always wonder why my friends can type faster than me. Why is this different, and then I realized actually it's a foundational issue. And every time I would just tell my clients okay, look, I know this is boring, this is not entertaining, this is, annoying, but it's something that, you need to do. You need to spend not long, okay? Just take 10 minutes of your time a day to practice, and you will actually go really well. And I think I took this idea pretty recently when I started picking up a musical instrument, because it's almost the same thing. When you want to learn some skill set that it's pretty hands-on and you just don't feel like practicing. I mean, we are humans. Definitely we are, a bit lazy from time to time, right? So we just need to spend 10-15 minutes of time a day to practice what we are being taught.
Yeah, really, I think it's a matter of commitment. It doesn't require a lot of time or energy, but it's just something that I think, we need to see what's the point in it. What's the motivation behind it before we really, really commit to something like this, I guess.
So, of course, touch typing, as we said, is a technique to allow us to be able to get familiar with our keys. And of course, for example, the most easiest thing is if you know where your home keys, like the F and the J keys, you know how to find your other keys. It's there for us to build a better mental map of the keyboard as well. So when we type, we know which fingers are exactly allocated to which keys.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting that you mentioned musical instruments, because it's basically similar concept like you mentioned. It's muscle memory. It's how far do you need to reach to hit certain keys that you can do without thinking about it. In fact, I was just talking to a client yesterday. She mentions you can just type without looking at it with touch typing skills. why I mentioned this and why this stood out to me was because a lot of times, I think the general misconception is that how do you type if you cannot see the keyboard? So this is exactly the point. Even sighted typists, professional typists, they do not actually look at the keyboard when they type. So in this sense, this is not really a VI skill per se. It helps us a lot just because our main interaction with the computer is through the keyboard itself. We don't really rely on the mouse as much, especially for those with little to no functional vision anymore. Right, the keyboard is our main interface to the computer itself, to put it in a very technical, very weird term, But that's essentially what it is. So that is why this essential skill that can benefit others, that is a nice to have, is actually pretty crucial when it comes to using, especially the computers, right, with screen readers. And I think enough about keyboard. I think we have really reinforced the points. Touched on its importance.
I think you mentioned the other thing, right? Like keyboard commands. I know you said enough about keyboards, but it's really, really crucial that we need to know the keyboard before we can kind of interface with the computer.
Yeah, exactly.
Different keyboard commands like Windows D for desktop or Windows T for taskbar, that kind of thing.
Right.
You want to know where your arrow keys are simply because you need to use them to navigate. Right? These are navigational keys, right? So with the similar concept, we talk about spending about 5 to 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes of your day. This is a similar concept where I bring up to my clients when they first learn screen readers. Something that some clients will say, wow, very annoying, very noisy. It will disturb the whole entire general public when we use, screen readers. But I think this thinking will change over time. We can always use things like an earpiece, headset to kind of solve that issue, right? But the main purpose or the main reasons when coming to use screen reader is a tool, right? It's a text to speech software, so it will kind of use what they see as text and then convert it out to speech, and that's how we navigate our apps on our phones or our computers.
And a lot of times when we hear from the general public, people think screen readers is a bit like virtual assistants like Siri. Like they think, when you talk about speech, do you talk to your computer to operate it? Not really. I mean, not at all, in fact. Or you can, but that's a whole other topic altogether. But it means text to speech. So whatever there's text on the screen that you see visually is converted into speech that we hear. It's like a one-to-one conversion, exactly, right?
So, and then, with the same concept of how you learn touch typing, you tend to, especially for, phones, our touchscreen phones with no home buttons or with not very little buttons, right? I use a similar concept to teach some of our clients, which is a concept of mental mapping, to let them kind of section out the phones into different sections so they know where to find certain things. Similar to how your fingers are allocated to different keys, more like how, what are the different landmarks of your phones. All right. And how do you then use that landmark to go and explore further, But it is very important to say that screen readers can only work on applications that are made accessible to it. So if the app is not very friendly to us, then hence we will definitely have some difficulties using it.
True. And also just to mention, we have been talking about screen readers and keyboards, and these are for people with again, very little vision. For those who are low vision, we would basically train them on a different set of assistive technology, that vision enhancement tools basically. So these basically are software or services that enhances the visuals on the screen to make it easier for them to see.
Yeah.
In a sense, the way that they operate their devices will be pretty similar to how a sighted person would do it. Not totally the same, but similar concepts, except that it looks different and the way that they interact with their device needs to be adjusted a little bit as well.
I guess when talk about vision and vision impairment, it's a spectrum on its own. So when we talk about low vision, we realize that they all have different sight. So hence they need different tools to kind of let them see better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll teach tools like how to use magnification and stuff like that, right? But it's not always the same for each low vision individual.
Yeah, true. And it's not always a case of like a very clear-cut process of, your vision is like this, so this is the right tool for you. Oftentimes, our job involves a lot of like problem solving.
Mm.
In what circumstances do you use certain apps or services? When do you use a screen reader? When do you use vision enhancement tools? When do you give out vision enhancement tools and use a screen reader totally? It depends on the journey of their vision loss, right? So that's something that we see.
Yeah, very often.
Yeah.
So, of course, we are not always right in the decisions that we made. So sometimes we have to explore with the client to see, whether, at least for me, right, as a low vision trainer, I tend to explore my clients to see which tool will fit them better. If I notice that they really struggle in terms of using the visual enhancement tools, but maybe they still can do it, right? Maybe they still can do it just very slow, then I'll advise them to slowly pick up screen readers. At the same time, I wouldn't say that you should wait till you lose your vision before you pick up screen readers, because some of our clients may find it very difficult to keep up because it's a new set of gestures that they have to learn. With these new sets of gestures, it may cause them some form of anxiety, right?
Right. So this is basically what type of training that we do. But maybe let's just go back to the beginning of this whole journey for yourself, Dylan. How did you start training clients, or why did what made you want to do something like this?
Okay, I think for me, when I first started learning, right, many of times it's just to learn with friends. Like certain things, I may learn how to use a screen reader, but I don't know how to use it properly. Of course, I could have used the internet, but back then the internet was not as as good as now, right? So I learn things based on trial and error, and if I don't know, I ask the people around me, see they know or not, right? And that's how I have been learning. And I just thought that, I think in 2019, is it? When somebody told me there's such a role, training clients how to use their mobile phones, I was like, wow, this is an interesting role, because I think I don't want people to have the same struggle as I had when I started learning. So that's why I decided to pick up such a role, and I was very happy doing training our clients and seeing all of them going to different level of success. For example, we have some clients that are in jobs, but they are losing their eyesight, and they want a way for them to better navigate around the computer. So helping them through these hard times actually make me want to continue teaching, because we are doing good, right? We are helping our clients, through these problems that they face.
That is very interesting. And of course, I think our clients are very grateful to have you, I'm sure.
All right. So what about you then? What's your journey like?
Well, so I think I started training when I was still going through my tertiary education. Kind of started because I knew how much technology can play a role in our daily lives. I benefited from it, like just through my school, through daily lives, just from experiencing it myself, and looking at friends' experiences as well, like you mentioned. So that actually got me more interested into it, and that's it's like a cycle, like the more it helps you, the more interested you are in it. The more you want to learn about it to see what else it can do. So basically that led to me taking out a course in IT and also pursuing how IT can benefit someone with vision impairments, further, someone like myself. So I started volunteering to train clients on Saturdays, and eventually it grew to be like on days that I don't have classes also. And after doing that for like a little bit more than a year, I became a part-time trainer. So that's how my journey began. And it was fascinating because I must say I did have great experiences training clients. One of my very early clients was a Mac user. Thinking back, it's kind of funny because I'm a Windows user myself, like most of my life, I guess, right?
Well, but you do have a MacBook now, so I guess.
Yeah, I mean, interesting experience, I guess. Yeah, so I trained a Mac client who needed to use his computer to do his different things that helped him, like like typing documents, accessing things on the web, stuff like that, right? And then my other client was basically this iPhone client. He came in with no experience with the iPhone at all, but he was willing to learn. And in fact, you can tell that he really, really wanted to do more. And at the end, he was able to use all your, common apps like WhatsApp, your communications apps. He could communicate with family members. He could do entertainment stuff, like, watching YouTube videos, listening to the radio. So these are all like pretty small things. If you think about it, these are things like, everyone does almost on a daily basis. But just imagine for someone who acquired vision loss and then to be able to do it on their own independently after a while.
Yeah, it's actually that kind of accomplishment that we want to see and that we hope to see more often. Because remember, we can only teach some of the basic skill sets. That's our one-to-one training, right? And with that basic skill sets, we hope that you can explore more, and we hope that you can explore more apps than what we actually cover. And when we see clients are able to do that, it means that we have done our job, right?
Yeah. So one thing that is a common misconception is that a lot of times people think we provide courses. In actual fact, what we do is not so much a course, but it's more going through this journey with you on accessibility, right? We can kind of like come up with a framework for you, but ultimately it's also depending on what you want to do and what you want to achieve. We find ways to support you to, basically help you to achieve your goals and your objectives. So it's like any journey, there's no start or end. It's, everlasting. We can support you as much as you want or as little as you want, because some people, they don't really need the support from us anymore. So it's a constant learning journey. And in fact, from time to time, we do learn from our clients as well. I have great clients that, I do have really interesting discussions with. Sometimes we learn from each other. We discover new things together. So that's a very fulfilling experience.
You see, when it comes to talk about training, right, we don't always play the trainer role, right? There are things we don't know. We are not a encyclopedia or book where you come to us and we have documentations of, everything. We don't. We often have to learn as well. We certain new software comes out, we may go and play around with it. And, some of our clients may play around with it and share with us their experience, right? And then we build on that, and then we take that and help other clients as well.
Yeah. And I think it might be also interesting for our clients, our learners, to have a behind-the-scenes sort of view at how we basically come up with the programs that we do. So as you know, at GDS, the support that we provide in terms of technology, there are a few aspects of it. So of course, there's a one-to-one training that we have been talking about for quite a while now. Right. In addition to that, we have our workshops. And then, of course, we have our podcast episodes, like what you're listening to right now. So the one-to-one training, I think you guys get an idea, right? We support you. We work with you to come up with an individualized plan to help you to achieve what you want to achieve. Our workshops, well, it's actually split into two different categories. If you look at workshops, it's a bit like group learning, right? So the idea behind these workshops is that we want to cater to all members.
All clients?
Yeah. So the idea behind the workshops is that we kind of want to contribute to all our clients, to people in different journeys or different stages of this journey itself, as it were. Because someone might be at the very introductory stage. They may know very little, so they want workshop sessions that can show them what are the different options out there.
Mm.
Other than that, we also have our workshop sessions for our more intermediate clients. I mean, to call you guys intermediate clients is a bit of a weird term, but we don't really have a proper term. Basically, for those of you who know something, everything, you know.
I think this is the
yeah.
part where we share some of our experiences, right? And we share about what is doable and what is not. What are in the market that is going to be helpful to us? What are some solutions we can do? Or rather, what aspirations we can kind of try and achieve.
Exactly.
Right.
So, if you look at our communications with our clients, right, the first type of workshop sessions, we usually call it the A²T sessions. Stands for accessibility and assistive technology. So this is more of an info session style where we introduce the different technology out there.
It boils down to the basic.
Exactly. It's really very basic.
Mm.
It's maybe not meant for you to learn also. In some sense, it's kind of like if you come here, you know what's out there. Then you have a clearer idea of what do you want to pick up, what do you want to learn further. Right. And then the other type of workshops that we have is called VITEX. Okay, VITEX stands for Vision Impaired Technology Experiential Sessions. So that's why I call it VITEX sessions. And as the name implies, it's really experiential in nature. Like Alan just shared, right? It's for you to come, listen, experience the technology with us, learn what is out there, what's new, what's helpful, what is not. We see it like a workshop because you do get to learn some new things. If you want to learn. But if you don't want to learn, it's also good to just sit in to maybe hear other perspectives, right?
Yeah. And sometimes when we plan for VITEX, right, we will think like, okay, actually we don't know if our clients will share or not, or sometimes we just think like, okay, maybe it's just like a lecture, we just talk and then they just listen and then call it a good day, right? But actually what we notice over the years is that, for VITEX, sometimes we really have clients that actually chime in with their own experience and how they use the particular software.
Right. And it's pretty cool that through VITEX itself, we do have a small community going. All right. It's like an ever-growing community. We hope to see that expand further as more people become interested in vision impact related technology and to share their experiences with us as well. And I want to say also, VITEX is also somewhere that, we do see participants coming in to listen, and then they find that actually, oh, this is a really interesting app. I want to learn this as well. So it's basically our push to, maybe in a way instill a bit of like a, ongoing learning process for BIs. And honestly, we call it workshop sessions, which it is a workshop session, but in a way, it's also part live stream, part workshop session, part podcast, Yeah.
Because majority of the time we will demonstrate on certain topic. Let's say when we talk about ebooks, right? Then we have a whole entire topic about it, what we use, and stuff like that. And then somebody out there may say, hey, we have this software that we use also, right? And then we can have a discussion on it. So it becomes a bit like a, impromptu discussion as well, apart from just us sharing.
Exactly. Or I think in the past, some of the great topics that we have done is smart home technology. Smart home technology is really something that is of interest to, I think, our clients, right? Yep. Entertainment too, actually, right? So I think we also want to, basically remove the misconception that actually when you have vision impairment, the things that you can do are limited. So VITEX is, in a way, our way to show everyone out there, whether sighted or visually impaired, that there is more to blindness than just, nothingness, I guess.
Right. And of course, leading towards the final thing that we actually do, which is episodes like this, right? VICast.
Yeah.
Right. It's here for us to be able to, of course, share our experiences, and for us to also share things that y'all can adopt, right? I think when we first started, I think when we first started off, we started off with talking about different accessories, right?
Yeah.
These are questions, very common questions that our client ask us. What do we get? Should we get this? Is this good enough? Right? And we thought that kind of episode would sum up very well on, what should be done or what you can get to make, your journey a bit smoother.
Yep, for sure. So Dylan, you have been training for quite a few years now from what you mentioned earlier. Right, so I'm wondering, do you have any interesting experiences that you went through or interesting stories that you have encountered so far as you have gone through this whole training journey?
Yeah, definitely. I think as for my case, I handle way lots of low vision clients, right? And a lot of these low vision clients, some of them, they have lost their sight midway in their lives, or they are going through a journey where they are losing their sight, some faster than others, right? So I think at the start, it was a very scary experience for me because I don't really know how I could kind of assist them, right? So over the years, I kind of learned a technique or way to approach this kind of situation, which is there's really no common way to kind of help each and every one of these clients. I need to always think of different ways to help them. Some of them cope with their vision loss better than others, and I need to be able to respect and understand that as well. So my training sometimes would be to share them stories so that they don't feel that their vision impairment is going to cost them a very big issue where they may not be able to do the things that they used to be able to do, right? They may not be able to do some of the things, but they are still able to do most of it as long as it's made accessible to them, right? So I think my training with them is not only training them on how to use some of these skills, but it's also the part where I need to talk to them, understand about their condition, and find ways to help them adapt better to their condition.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, as trainers, that is what we strive to do. That's what we hope to basically be able to support our clients in those ways.
Right. So I guess, Hong-Sen, for you, similarly for you, you probably have, similar experience, right?
Yeah, so I think I focus more on those clients with almost total vision loss, or, well, not all the time. But having said that, I do see clients who would have lost their sight quite quickly. So it's not like a slow transition from sight to low vision, And I think in some ways that can be a bit demoralizing when, sometime back you can see and now your vision is almost gone or is actually totally gone. And that could be quite a negative experience for them. So as a trainer, sometimes it's not just about training itself. It's about motivating them. It's about, journeying with them to find the right solutions to allow them to get back on track, in their daily lives, to be able to enter the workforce again, to do the things that they used to be able to do. So this is basically what they go through, right? Because a lot of times we say, oh, why does a client take so long to learn, Or, when clients themselves say, oh, why is it that some client, why is my friend learning so fast, but I take so long to learn? But then the truth of the matter is that everyone's journey is a little bit different.
Right.
And the more positive aspect of the trainee experience so far is that, like I mentioned earlier, we do see great clients that, in a way also contribute, that you can tell that, they are really quite motivated, really smart clients, really great clients as well. So that's something that's, it's a mixed experience, I guess. It's fulfilling. It can be fun. It can be interesting. It can be rewarding also.
Right.
Right.
I mean, the other aspect of training, the more technical part, is that sometimes we need to find workarounds of certain applications because they may not be really accessible to a screen reader user.
Yeah.
So of course, that's also another part of our work that we do, the more technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
So of course, in conclusion, we can say like, hey, this role is fun, it's fulfilling, it's rewarding at times, and we we get to learn along with our clients. It's not just us playing the trainer role all the time.
Exactly.
Right. And we are not a book, we do not have all the solutions out there, but we will do our best to find what solution we can. And sometimes we may not. And if we do not have the solution, we'll of course continue to try and find it. But, sometimes we need to get help from outside, right? Outside sources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's been great to talk about this, to share, and also to hear from you as well. We hope to be able to still do this, in the future.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows what the future holds, right? So
we won't know, yeah. So of course, for those clients who are tuning in and listening to this episode of VICast and you're still here, all right, hopefully you haven't left yet. But if you're still here, then I just want y'all to know that learning is always ongoing. It's okay to learn at a slower speed. You do not have to compare with your peers. So it's okay to learn at a slower speed as long as you gain something, right? You're able to do, the simplest of things. Could be like picking up a call, it could be a challenge to some, but if you can do it, then you are always learning, right? You'll just keep improving over time, right? So practice makes perfect as usual, right? So just need to spend about 10-15 minutes of your life every day to adapt to this new tool. Let's say you're learning how to use a screen reader, right? Just spend about 10-15 minutes a day to try to do tasks that you normally would do without a screen reader, but now this time do it with a screen reader, right? And we will try our best to support you as much as possible. And remember, your journey has no start and end, right? It's always going, and we will try to support you as much as we can.
All right. Yeah. So if you need any support from us, feel free to reach out to us. Right. If not, we'll see you in
our next episode of VICast.
Yep.
Or our training sessions in the future. All right. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day and bye.
Bye.